It's RTIC Cooler Talk time. Thank you so much for watching and checking us out. Send in your questions right now, please. We want to hear from you. My name's Drew Dougherty. This is Deepi Sidhu. We are back from Indianapolis in the Combine. It was a pretty good week. Learned a lot of things, basically from, or not basically, but mainly from the Bill O'Brien press conference. And we'll answer your questions about, well, whatever you want, Texans-wise, maybe even Wonderlic-wise or something else. But, Deepi, you doing all right?
I'm doing great. I thought the Combine was fun. They changed it around a little bit. Usually players start arriving on Monday, and the Combine gets started Tuesday. Actually, everybody starts arriving Tuesday. Combine starts on Wednesday, but they shifted it up a day so they could end it on the weekend and not on a Monday when you're watching DBs doing drills and everyone has to stay through the weekend. But they moved some events into prime time, so this weekend you'll get to see some of that for the first time. I think it's great for fans who want to just sort of watch the 40s and the bench presses and all those events in the evenings.
Yeah, we got a first question right out of the gate. What did you learn from the Combine? And that's from Ricardo on Twitter. And the main thing that I learned, well, it deals with the Texans, and it's that Tim Kelly is going to call the plays as the offensive coordinator in 2020. He did not call the plays last year. It was Bill O'Brien's call. But O'Brien himself this week at the Combine in Indianapolis said Timmy's going to make the call, and Timmy's going to have the calls. And I think it's awesome because Kelly's been around this offense for a while now. He is also going to be the quarterback's coach this season, and he's got a very good relationship with Deshaun Watson. And I think the continuity that's going to be there from the start of the week through game day, very important for the Texans. I predict you're going to see a smoother, more efficiently running offense in 2020.
Yeah, Tim Kelly, he started off here as a quality control coach. Obviously, he started off with Bill O'Brien over at Penn State. And I think when you're quality control, you get to learn every facet of the offense and the defense. I remember my office used to be down the hallway from Tim Kelly's, and the coaches are here all the time. But, Tim Kelly used to be here all the time in the offseason, too. The coaches would be gone. He'd be studying film and breaking it down. So he's really worked his way up the ranks. And the way the answer to that question came about was almost funny in itself because Bill O'Brien did this little press conference outside of the podiums where press conferences were being held with the local media. And John McClain was the one that asked him just as a last question about play calling, which he's asked him many, many times before. And Bill O'Brien said, very frankly, yeah, Tim Kelly will be calling plays this season, and everybody was just sort of quiet taking that in because we didn't expect to hear him say that, especially here in February. So Drew's got a story on it on HoustonTexans.com. I learned about the coaching changes. We know that Anthony Weaver now is going to head up the defense. He's also going to be heading up the D-line, and Bill O'Brien talked at length about what he likes about Anthony Weaver and how he's going to allow him to bring his ideas and his creativity to the scheme here in Houston because Anthony Weaver has played for a lot of different coaches. He's coached under a lot of different coaches, notably Rex Ryan being one of the coaches that he's worked for. So, and obviously Romeo Crennel. So I think that'll be really exciting to see what changes we see on the defensive front from Anthony Weaver.
Yeah, and going back to Kelly, this will be the 9th year that he and O'Brien have been together. It's the only since O'Brien has been a head coach in one form or fashion, which was at Penn State in 2012. Kelly's the only guy that's been with him every step of the way. Before that, he was at 4 different colleges: Ball State, Eastern Illinois was where he played, and coached at some other spots too. So very good continuity there. And Oscar on YouTube, just kind of as a follow-up, says, with Kelly calling the plays, how will it be different? I think the main thing is it's more streamlined, the communication process on game day. When a play gets called in, it's not really as much of a huddle. It's going to be Kelly to Deshaun, and I think there will be the streamlining there is going to make it a more efficient process, a smoother communication process.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see too much difference in the style of the offense that's run because obviously Tim Kelly was the offensive coordinator. I think that there will be just more chemistry because now he'll be coaching the quarterbacks. He's already working with Deshaun on the offensive side of the ball, but with him calling plays, I think it frees up Bill O'Brien to focus on other things during the game, maybe sort of step back and see it at a higher level because I think calling plays and sort of managing the team and everything in game, I think that you'll see Bill O'Brien sort of focus his attention maybe in other places while still overseeing the offense, but he doesn't have to call the play every single time and get that put in.
Chris on Facebook asks, who do you see starting at right guard? And I think it's still very early in the process, but I do think there will be competition for Zach Fulton. He was a starter at right guard this season. Do think he's going to get pushed to a degree, but it's February. It's the end of February. We still got a long way to go. Maybe ask me in August, mid-August, but as of right now, I say Fulton will get challenged by someone, whether it's in free agency or the draft.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't like to have Fulton back at that position. I think the only thing that's going to preclude it is, like you said, if there's better competition at that spot, or say, for injury or whatever, because he is a veteran guy. He's been in the league a number of years, but I think they like that they've got all these younger guys now. They'll get to work together. Max Sharping, Titus Howard, and obviously Nick Martin has been there several years. So I think they like having a few veterans on that offensive line. And Laramie Tunsil, while he is a veteran, he's still relatively new, but you got him on the left side of the line. You got Zach Fulton on the right. It's kind of nice to have a veteran there on both sides for balancing things out.
Henry on Facebook has a great question. Do you think the Texans will pick up an edge rusher in free agency? It makes sense because what do you have coming back? You've got J.J. Watt. You've got Jacob Martin. Duke Ejiofor is probably going to play this year. He had the Achilles injury that kept him out the entire season. You also have Whitney Merciless. I think it would make sense that you bring in somebody else from the outside as well to kind of challenge. Maybe Charles Omenihu gets some stuff on the outside, looking like he's going to be more of an interior guy to a degree. But yeah, I think free agency or the draft, you're going to see the Texans try to add help up front because they need to get after the quarterback a little bit better than they did in 2019.
Yeah, and I think with J.J. Watt getting older, you obviously want to have somebody line up opposite him, or even maybe just add some depth behind him and Whitney Merciless. I think free agency, like you said, is super interesting. Drew's got the mock draft out on HoustonTexans.com, and it seemed like a lot of different writers and people covering the NFL had the Texans taking pass rusher in the first round, or in the second round with their first pick. So I think it will be interesting. I think money is going to be a big issue because some of the edge rushers you see coming out in free agency, it's going to cost a pretty penny, and you've got some other needs on your team that you want to address as well.
All right, Clayton on YouTube. Do you think the Texans will keep Carlos Hyde? Running back is a free agent this year. Came in and did nice things after the trade for Martinez Rankin from the Chiefs, and boy, he sure was valuable. When he was going, he went for 1,000 yards. He got you about 4.5 yards a carry. He was a strong back, a nice change-up to what you had in Duke Johnson, who I do believe, no matter who is in the running backs room with Duke Johnson this year, I do think you're going to see more carries out of Duke Johnson, more touches overall as well, more receptions out of the backfield. But I could see Hyde coming back. He's about to be 30. He'll be 30 on opening day, or week 1, and that's always something that sort of has given teams pause in the past. But it wouldn't stun me if he's back. I don't know. But there's so many variables involved, like who else is out there available, what's the cost. This is a decent draft for running backs, so we'll see, but it wouldn't stun me if he's back.
I'm really intrigued by the running back position because Carlos Hyde becomes a free agent, Lamar Miller becomes a free agent, Duke Johnson's under contract, so the running back position was completely different this time last year as opposed to what it was when the season started. So we know anything can happen, and you could have any number of factors. You could have both guys come back. You could have neither guy come back. You could have one guy come back. You could draft a guy. I don't really see them signing anybody in free agency, but then again, They signed 2 guys, they traded for 2 guys last year that were already in the league. So I really don't know the answer to the question of what will we keep Carlos Hyde or not. I think all signs point to they liked what they saw out of him last year, but then there might be some other options that may be more cost effective. Who knows? It's definitely something to look out for, and I'm super intrigued by this question.
All right, Samantha on Facebook, our good pal, asks this. Who are some prospects from the Combine to watch? It's tougher this year because the Texans aren't picking until 57th, so the net gets cast so much wider in terms of guys who are going to be available. But one, just to off the top of my head to look at, to think about, an Alabama guy, Terrell Lewis, sort of a defensive end, outside linebacker, basically a pass rusher, and he's somebody that could help you out. Will he be there? Maybe. He might be gone by then, but that's somebody that I'm keeping an eye on. And we'll see come draft day, which is day 2, the Friday of the draft in 2020, Deepi.
I would like to plug my podcast, which will be up in the next day or so, and it's definitely going to play on Monday nights, Texans All Access, with Mike Renner of Pro Football Focus. I actually asked him, with the second-round pick, who are some of the pass rushers that you think might be good fits for the Texans, and he gave some very detailed answers, which I am really not, I think, equipped to give because I don't study film the way that those guys do.
And also because you had zero interest in his opinion about the draft.
I really didn't.
You were interviewing him because he was a contestant on The Bachelorette a few years ago, right?
Yes, we did. It was myself, John Harris, and Mike Renner, and he was gracious enough to let me ask him all of my burning Bachelorette questions. So we did all that, and then we did talk about the 2020 NFL Draft, but that's coming out on HoustonTexans.com. Otherwise, you can listen to it on Texans All Access Sunday night, 6 to 7 p.m. because that was a great interview.
Yeah, and you did a great job mixing with and mingling with the national media. you got their opinions on some Texans-related topics. You can see that on Texans 360 tomorrow night, Saturday
Ooh.
night, ABC 13 KTRK at 11 p.m. It's going to be a fun one. Also had John Harris on breaking things down. We did the Walking Wonderlick, which is out on HoustonTexans.com. It is tougher than it looks. And you can always listen Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. on Sports Radio 610, the Texans mobile app, to Texans All Access. The guys will be going tonight, and they've got a whole slew of guests that they caught up with at the Combine, talking, of course, about Mark Vandermeer and John Harris. But, Deepi, this was fun as always.
Always fun, Drew.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you, you too.
You have a great weekend, too. If we couldn't get to your question, we're really sorry. A lot of you, though, probably had the same questions that were asked in the mailbag, which is it's called The Leftovers. So check that out on HoustonTexans.com, and also Dear Drew. And, yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. Sound good?
All right, sounds good, Drew.
All right, see you later. Bye-bye. And, before we go, thanks Tyler Marcotte, thanks Amanda Caffey for making it all happen behind the scenes and producing this super-duper RTIC Cooler Talk.